Hi, I'm Dave Mars with Conservation Tips. You know, water is a very precious resource, and utilities don't like to see it wasted, and customers who purchase it don't like to see its effect on their bills. So today on Tips, we're going to take a look at water-using appliances and how you can troubleshoot them, and also I'm going to show you how to take care of the king of leakers, and you know which one that is. I always tell my customers that a toilet should be seen and not heard, and if you're hearing your toilet, then there's something the matter with it. The first thing you want to take a look at is your stopper. The stopper's function is to be down at the bottom of the tank here. It fills up, holds the water in there for your flushing action. These things will go bad over time. They're kind of thin rubber. And in the wintertime, the water coming in the toilet's really cold, so these tend to pucker up and you'll find some leaks then. Now, you might not see it trickling down in the bowl here. Sometimes it's almost like a silent leak, so you may have to use like some food coloring in the tank or a dye tablet, get this water a different color, and if you see it appear down the bowl, say about 12 hours later, then your stopper needs to be replaced. It's about a $4 item at the hardware store, and I guarantee it's pretty easy to put on. Now in this particular toilet, the problem is not the stopper, although can you hear what I'm hearing? We've got some major water running in there, and I'll show you what's happening, is that they put a new valve in, but it's not shutting the flow of water off. So it's running non-stop. You won't notice it out on the floor here because there's an overflow pipe in here that takes care of that water so it goes in the sewer and doesn't ruin your floor. But if you don't hear it, it can cost you some big money. So we're going to replace this valve today. If you go to the hardware store, you see there's this kind. There's an old-timey type with the float on the arm, but I like this because you can control the amount of water in the toilet and lower your water usage that way too. You might find the valve associated with the stopper if you need that, or you can buy the valve by itself. So let's get started. First step is to shut the supply of water to the toilet. You normally can have a valve down here that'll do that right-handedly. If you don't, you might have to go to where the main is and shut it off at the main valve. Then the next thing we need to do is get the water out of the reservoir tank here and basically just flush it on away. After the flush has gone on down the drain, you're still going to have about a ½ inch of water at the bottom of this tank. So when we disconnect this supply line, which we need to do next, it's going to disconnect up here and also disconnect down here. Have a bucket nearby so you can catch the extra water that's going to spill out. Now that we got the supply line disconnected and we cut all the water that's remaining in the tank, you can pull the old valve out. And this is kind of an older style in that this is what floats up and down and this is what shuts the water off, and that wasn't working, so water was going down this hose here and running non-stop on the overflow pipe. It's also been raised up like this to accommodate the taller height of this older toilet, which has got a lot of water in it. So we're going to basically, with our new valve, let me show you that, we're going to have it a little bit shorter in there so we don't fill up as much, don't use as much water per flush. Plus, on this particular model here, you see that the float does go up and down and shuts it off up here, but we have a rod here that has a screw on it. So when we set that height, it's going to stay. A lot of times the other one that I just showed you, the clip could go up and down and get out of adjustment too. And then basically what you do is kind of replicate the old valve by putting in the short hose here. And then you need to get a rubber washer on the very bottom of this guy. And that's what goes in there. And now we reconnect it underneath. Basically, we have a plastic nut here. Goes on the bottom of the stem. Now, rather than using a rigid supply line like we had on the first one, I'm going to put on a flexible one. It's a lot easier to manipulate. If, say, you have a trouble in the future, a lot easier to take off. And it's pretty simple to attach. So the next thing to do after we get them both connected and make sure they're extra tight because we don't have any leaks here, is try it out. Fill up the tank, see if we get any leaks in here, watch for it carefully. All right, now as we're filling up and getting some water in the tank, it's time to check for any leaks. This feels real good. We don't have anything going on down here. If you find a little trickle, we'll just take a plier or something like that and tighten it up a little bit. Our overflow for the bowl here is looking good rather than the one that we had in there before that was going non-stop. The float is shutting off the water flow, and by having a lower setting on that float, we're saving about this much water per flush, and that can be 2 to 3 gallons of water. If you don't have enough water for a flush, you can go ahead and adjust the float upwards so you get a little more water in there. Or if you got a little, a little less water that you prefer, you can drop that float and it'll stop it a lot quicker. It's a real effective way of saving some water, and I think it looks like a pretty good installation. So what are the potential savings of fixing a leak like that? Note that a leak the size of a 1/8 inch to 3/16 inch diameter hole, similar to the gusher we just fixed, can waste between 100,000 to 200,000 gallons per month. It would cost in the range between $30 to $100. So the water is the king of leakers, but you might want to check your other appliances too, like your faucets inside and out, the water heater, pressure relief valve, your water softener if you have one, and check around the water heater. Sometimes they can leak for you too. The idea is to keep that water in use and not abuse. And if you want more information about water conservation tips, go online to gocolumbiamo.com and type in the search box water conservation tips, and you'll get some more. Dave Moore's the Conservation Tips, and I'll see you next time.